I'm all gassed up on this story. You do not believe LeBron James ever leaves L.A.?
No. He actually likes it here.
I know.
You kind of like it here too.
He
has a child about to enter into high school, and he's taking his son out of Brentwood, and now he's going to move him to Sierra Canyon, which is now the basketball factory of the Valley.
Yeah.
And Dwayne Wade's going to put his kid there.
Right.
Once your kid's in high school, you're not moving. It's just not happening. And Jeannie Buss would be a moron financially to trade him. Every piece of Laker paraphernalia, every ad dollar is based around 23 playing for the Lakers. He's a cash cow, just like the Lakers are a cash cow.
Yeah.
It's not happening. And this idea that they can't find anybody to trade for or anybody to take their money, by the way, which would be as much of an indictment on LeBron James as it would the culture and what's taken place within the Lakers organization. I find it really hard to believe that would happen. But even if they didn't get any big names.
I don't think they will.
Well, look, they weren't that far off last year. They just weren't. And I tend to believe they will somehow via trade or via sign. If you just get a legit starting center, right, and you get shooters off of the bench who can play with LeBron James, you're going to be a playoff team, a very competitive playoff team. So there's a lot of dust that needs to settle.
Now, I will say this. Boogie Cousins, I think they could overpay and get him.
Yeah, why do you want Boogie Cousins?
Well, I'm saying I don't think the Lakers, I don't see all the players. If Jimmy Butler signs a max, that was one of the better opportunities. I think the Kyrie story is a leak by the Lakers to seem relevant because they're not in an increasingly competitive market. I don't see them adding. Clay's not coming. Kawhi's not coming. KD's not coming. I think you get to a point where Boogie Cousins looks pretty darn attractive if he plays well in this finals. He's skilled.
He played one game.
I know, but
he hasn't stayed healthy the last 2 years. And by the way, LeBron wants a guy who's either a rim protector or a stretch five. He's neither. He can shoot, but he's not a stretch five. Doesn't really fit there. They're going to try and trade for Anthony Davis. That's where the fourth pick could end up. Brad Beal. You're going to have a new GM eventually with the Washington Wizards. And people are going to try and pick off those pieces. Obviously, the Wizards are going to try and get rid of John Wall's contract, but nobody knows if he'll ever play again or what it'll look like when he comes back from injury. You want Brad Beal.
I do.
There's still, Kemba Walker's out there. There's what happens with the Rockets? The Rockets apparently are a fire sale. And who's close friends with LeBron James? It's Chris Paul, who once upon a time for 5 minutes was in fact a Laker. Again, I don't love that move, but the idea that no one's coming to the Lakers feels kind of laughable. And even if they stood pat and they simply added a couple of smart pieces, I actually think Lonzo Ball is going to be outstanding next year. This is his first offseason where he can actually work on a basketball floor, and he was getting close last year. Kyle Kuzma is going to be better. I mean, obviously the big question is Brandon Ingram's health, but it's not a terrible roster. They had a terrible culture, and they had terrible injuries, and they fell out of the playoffs, and it went south in a hurry. But they're not trading LeBron James a year into a 4-year contract when he's a cash cow. His son's entering high school. He likes it here. All his boys have moved out here. His whole corporation is out here, not in Cleveland. It ain't happening.
By the way,
sorry, it was a total buzzkill.
No. I just get excited about stuff.
I know you do.
I get very excited. I got World Cup on Friday. I just watched the craziest fight of my life, and now I got this. Let me go into the Kawhi thing. He bought property in Toronto. I don't buy it, but whatevs. I've heard
Toronto real estate on fire, by the way.
I'm not doubting that. Real estate everywhere in America right now is pretty hot, right?
That's not actually America. I hate that.
Well, I'm saying in North America.
Yes.
Why it's 15% charge to buy in Canada.
Well, but it's also Toronto specifically. There's such massive immigration and a population rush there that there's going to eventually, they believe, be a housing crisis. This may be an investment vehicle.
Okay.
I don't know. It's interesting.
But it is here. I'll say this about Kawhi is that as much as I respect all the NBA writers in this country, I don't think anybody has a clue. I honestly don't think in my lifetime I've ever seen a player. The NBA has quirky guys. It had Dennis Rodman. NFL quirky guys, Ricky Williams, feel like outcasts. The NBA kind of puts their arms around the earth is flat Kyrie, Dennis Rodman, Kawhi. We've always had a guy that's kind of an enigma, a little bit of a mystery. I think his body's a mystery. Do you have any inclination?
No.
I mean, I have none.
I got nothing for you. I really do. Right? And he has no kind of facial expression. That's just how he is. He comes to work every day, and then he goes home, and he doesn't give anybody anything. And people are trying to react to his uncle. Well, his uncle's around now, so maybe now his uncle wants him to Yeah, but at the end of the day, Kawhi's a grown man. He's going to make grown man decisions. So, I mean, we're all operating under the presumption that he wanted to play in L.A. He wanted to play with the Clippers. They kind of fit his personality. They need a ready-made star at his position. Like, it all kind of makes sense, but we're all just kind of guessing.
Let me ask you this. Chris Broussard said this yesterday. He's only played over 66 games twice. 74 is the most. He missed an entire season. He took 22 games off load management. He has a weird body that he knows I'm not built to do 95 games like LeBron. I'm not built for this. If that was what I knew about my body. You know your body as a former athlete.
Yeah.
Kawhi does. Why wouldn't you just take guaranteed money? I'm not messing.
Well, you're going to get guaranteed money. You're going to get less guaranteed money. And again, but this is all in your wiring. Like, I think the difference is like $40 million, but an additional year, right? So remember that just because you say, well, there's a $40 million difference, and remember he took a hit to get a trade out of
$30 million
San Antonio because he could have gotten the Supermax there, right? So he's already taken a hit. Now you're talking about $70 million. Remember, if he signs a 4-year contract wherever he goes, he could then sign another 1-year deal, and he could make up, who knows, 30 or 40 million. It could end up being a wash. It's a little bit overblown.
Okay.
But can you really spend $120, $130 million?
I can't. And
you could try. Remember that boat you had when you first came up to Connecticut?
Sold it an hour later.
You did?
Yes.
Yeah. If we all invested in real estate in northern Connecticut, we could burn through money really quickly because it doesn't make you any money.
Right.
Outside of that, like, I do think we're guessing on a guy, and we're assuming that he thinks like we do. We're like, man, that's a lot of money, and Toronto loves you. You're like an iconic star in an entire country. On the other hand, LA's home, and it's all money he's not going to spend anyway, right? I'm sure there's a kicker with his New Balance deal where he gets more money and he'll get more endorsements, even if he says nothing. We're all just guessing, but it's the money is not as great a difference as you're led to believe, and money may not be the ultimate motivator for him. He's already left $30 million on the table in San Antonio.
Well, let's talk about the Warriors dynasty. Kevin Looney is out. Klay Thompson, hamstring. He can catch and shoot. I don't know if he'll be much defensively. Boogie's out of shape. KD's not playing. Iggy's not perfect.
We don't know if KD's not playing.
He's not playing game 3.
Was that ruled? Was that official that he's out? We don't think he's playing.
Not official.
You know, and anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I guess my point.
They're a mash unit. They're a mess.
They're a mess.
And they just went on the road. Like, has any coach in sports history ever gotten less credit than Steve Kerr? Be like, wow, he's got the best players. Not the other night, he didn't. He did not. He did not have Klay Thompson. He did not have Kevin Durant. He had Boogie Cousins off of multiple injuries and in his second game back. And he had Steph Curry, who they're playing a box and one on. And they won. On the road in Toronto. Like, at some point, we need to stop and take a breath and realize, over the last 5 years, the Golden State Warriors have been the best at something that I believe, and some in the NBA believe, is a stat that can discuss how great your coaching adjustments are.
Yeah.
The third quarter is your adjustment quarter.
Right.
It's what did you see in the first half? What were the adjustments you made for the second half? You know, the best team in the third quarter the last 5 years in the NBA is? It's the Golden State Warriors.
I don't think it's even close.
1 year it was close, but yes, the difference is there's been other teams that have fallen by the wayside. The one constant has been the Warriors and this coaching staff. From what they did defensively in Game 2, the Raptors didn't have a bucket for the first 6 minutes.
It was shocking,
right? That's all defense and adjustments and figuring out what they have, what they're doing, and how do we take that away to the offense and how are they guarding us? Okay, let's get some layups. They're not just out there rolling the ball out and go like, okay, we'll just manage. He does more than manage the psychology of stars and of a dynasty where guys are exhausted at the process. He's actually an incredible basketball coach with a bunch of smart guys around him, and they figure out the equation and they write up the problem at halftime and they come up with a solution in the second half. It's incredible, and as much as this is generally how dynasties end, right? The Celtics dynasty came to an end when Larry Bird's back went out.
Yeah.
right? And the Lakers, remember when the Lakers' first run was Kareem got old, and then Byron Scott one year got hurt?
Yep.
Okay? The Lakers with Shaq and Kobe, yes, they lost to the Pistons, and they had all that infighting, but Karl Malone was hurt. Rick Fox was hurt. They started to fall off with injuries. This is how the one guy that's...
How about the Heat?
Exactly,
Yeah,
right?
Like D-Wade couldn't give you great back-to-back nights. His knees were...
Well, not just that, but remember LeBron cramped up that one year in San Antonio where his whole body is like convulsing because he has to do so much for the team. So the point is that even though you're right, it looks like Toronto should win this game because they just have healthier bodies between Steph, the passing on this team, which is incredibly underrated, and the coaching staff, which is like not even discussed. Nobody even says anything about it.
Yeah.
I still think the Warriors will find a way because the Warriors find a way.
I want to talk about let's shift gears now to I want to talk OBJ, and I said he was my second story today. Is that listen, when you're rich and famous, whatever makes you rich and famous when you're young, you're going to go back to it. Your loyalty's not to your boss. Your loyalty's to what makes you rich and famous. Odell Beckham's been on a losing football team, and he got rich and famous. And he got rich and famous in his Instagram followers, and that's why Nike gave him a massive NBA shoe deal is because he's noisy. It's good. Noise is great for his business. The other day, orange Rolls Royce all over the internet. He won the internet for a day. He wasn't practicing. Skipping OTAs, I could make the argument. It was noisy. He was independent. I'll do it my way. We know the NFL noise is not great. We know in the NBA, noise is fine. There's a lot of noise. Players are more independent, more powerful. What I think is fascinating with this, and I have no idea how it's going to end, what really makes Odell Beckham money and made him famous globally is noise. What kills NFL teams, Steelers, Giants, is noise. How does it work?
I generally agree with you, and that the culture of NFL teams are like speak quietly. What is it? Speak softly and carry a big stick.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you and I have seen the Chargers. The Chargers have. Everybody talks about the personnel of the Browns. Like the Chargers have better personnel on offense and on defense. And my question is the arm strength of Phillip Rivers is kind of late in the season, which we may get to a little bit later. But we don't hear anything from Keenan Allen, right? We don't hear anything from Hunter Henry now that he's back healthy. We don't hear anything from these guys. We don't hear anything from a lot of these teams. The one pushback I will give you is it might just work. And here's why. You got his best friend on the other side, and you have a quarterback who seems to know how to handle all the noise and all the nonsense. It's just he kind of thrives on it.
Yeah.
Right? Like Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, they don't roll like that. Right? That's not. They want everything. They want reps. They want to know exactly where you're going to be, exactly when you're going to want to be there. They're perfectionists. But remember, that's one of the reasons Peyton struggled in the playoffs is because things aren't as planned in the playoffs.
I mean, even the timeouts are longer, the halftimes are longer.
Everything, more than anything, like what was a penalty is no longer a penalty.
Right.
And it throws your timing off. And because he never had arm strength, he knew exactly when somebody was going to be exactly where, and it threw him completely off. Baker thrives in chaos. That's how he's at his best. And every scout I talk to, they're like, well, he's not quite as fast, not quite strong enough, arm strength-wise, whatever. But tell you what, if you give him some guys, he just finds a way, and they all gravitate towards him. He has that it factor in terms of leadership he just has. Now, I don't know if he has the talent, and I also don't know their early schedule is difficult. If they start out 3-3 or 2-4, and you got a rookie head coach who's unproven, and he starts saying Southern expressions, it could go bad in a bad way. But I do think there's a certain genius to what John Dorsey's built. It's like, look, I don't know if Odell Beckham Jr. works, but we didn't pay him that first year's money.
Right.
We got him a quarterback who has the ability to deal with his ego. We got his best friend across the way, and we have a lot of talent, so we feel like we're going to score a lot of points. It might just work. It might not, which will make it fun for us.
Yeah, no, I think I said
but it might just work.
I said last year to Joy, I found myself last year, generally I come home and I look where I can get the 2 or 3 games I want to watch. Cleveland was one of the games. Well, it was like they were fascinating.
Here's my biggest problem, and I said this when I was on First Things First, this was months ago. I said, look, he can say he's about winning, but when you're on the hands team and you have the hands and your entire image has been built around your ability to catch balls here or there, and one's rolling towards you, and you make the decision to bail out, you have made it known to everybody in the NFL that you are not about winning. Because winning is go get the football.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Especially that's what you do best. That's why you're out in the football field. Whether you think a guy should be out there, shouldn't be out there, he's had a history of injury, whatever. That said to everybody, he's not about winning. And I think not showing up at OTAs shows he's not about winning. But if it's going to work, Cleveland is a place it can work. And let's also not forget, he is remarkably talented.
Oh, God, yeah.
Wide receivers haven't been proven to win you Super Bowls or even get you there. But Cleveland, forget about winning Super Bowls. They haven't been relevant in years. They won one game in 2 years combined. And now they have a roster where people are going like, you know what? They got some dudes there if they can keep it all together.
Well, they last year they went 7-8-1. They were 1-6-1. I guess what I'm saying, I was giving Jay Glazer crap yesterday. He said I put Baker in this group of the elite guys above Russell Wilson. He was 1-5 against winning teams.
Yeah, they weren't good against winning teams.
No, I mean, Baker struggled. By the way, he's a rookie. He should struggle. Sam Darnold struggled. They all struggle.
And they played the last place schedule, and they played, in their division was the Cincinnati Bengals, who were on pace to be the worst defense in the history of the sport.
Right.
So that helps you when you have 2 games there, right?
Yeah.
So, look,
Look at that schedule, Doug. Go put the schedule back. I'll tell you, you think I'm crazy on this. The end of the year, they could face a lot of teams that are not even fighting for a playoff. Look at Cleveland's first 9 games. Holy moly. That's a lot of defenses and a lot of roadies. That's a lot of road games at the Jets, at Baltimore, West Coast.
I mean, you're look again. We're in June now. In June, it
10 seconds.
It looks like one thing. I don't want to be an NFL schedule guy.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.